वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देवा सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। ओम सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारंभं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुदेवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ओम श्री अनुभवानंदाय नमः। ओम श्री चिन्मयानंदाय नमः। ओम श्री गुरुदत्ताय नमः। ओम सत्य साईश्वराय नमः। ओम नमो नारायणाय नमः। ओम श्री सूर्यदेवाय नमः। ओम गं गणपतये नमो नमः। श्री सिद्धिविनायक नमो नमः। अष्टविनायक नमो नमः। गणपति बाप्पा मोरिया। ओम गं गणपतये नमो नमः। श्री सिद्धिविनायक नमो नमः। अष्टविनायक नमो नमः। गणपति बाप्पा मोरिया। ओम गं गणपतये नमो गणपतये नमो नमः। श्री सिद्धिविनायक नमो नमः। अष्टविनायक नमो नमः। गणपति बाप्पा मोरिया। Salutations to Bhagwan Shri Ganesh, who is the embodiment of wisdom. You are Siddhi Vinayak, the one who grants miracles and blessings to your children. Lord, as this Jai movement begins this year with inspiration, with motivation, your blessing, please protect us on the path of virtue and dharma, O Ganeshi. Om Ganapataye Namo Namah. Shri Siddhi Vinayak Namo Namah. Ashtavinayak Namo Namah. Ganapati Bappa Moria. Ganapataye Namo Namah. Shri Siddhi Vinayak Namo Namah. Ashtavinayak Namo Namah. Ganapati Bappa Moria. Ganapataye Namo Namah. Shri Siddhi Vinayak Namo Namah. Ashtavinayak Namo Namah. Ganapati Bappa Moria. Ganapati Bappa Moria. Ganapati Bappa Moria. Ganapati Bappa Moria. Om Shri Deepadanam Darshayami. Say a very warm and special welcome to each and every one of you to the gathering this morning, or the satsang this morning, as we sit together in celebration of your movement. Everybody moving? If you have a movement, you have to move. Isn't it? And the question is, we are moving, but in which direction? In which direction are you moving? Huh? Denaji, which direction you plan to move? You plan to move in the direction of Jai. So, Pavan Sudha Hanuman ki. And Jai means in the direction of victory, in the direction of success, in the direction of achieving your goals. For the children and the youngsters and the youths, you move in that direction only. And you know, sometimes we tend to believe that our mind will, what you call, want us to move in a certain direction. And sometimes we think that whatever direction the mind wants us to move, we are going to be victorious and we are going to be able to achieve victory. But not every time the mind tells us to jump, we must ask, how high? Leave that for the wife to do. When the wife asks the husband, when the wife tells the husband, jump, no question asked, how high, babe? Don't jump because the mind says jump. Don't weep or cry because the mind wants you to weep and cry. Don't be depressed because your mind telling you to be depressed because something didn't happen the way you wanted to happen. Don't be frustrated because your life is not going the way you wanted to go. Or the life is being faced with emotional decisions. When life is faced with emotional decisions, my friends, we are blinded by the emotions. You see, right now the sky is clouded. The nice view, a rather beautiful blue sky is looking dim and grey and as if there is no beauty in it. Right behind the grey clouds, there is a beautiful sky. So the emotions of the mind, they are, like you call, the clouds that is preventing us from experiencing the depth of our divinity and the depth of the happiness and the depth of the joy within us. And therefore, what we have to do, I want to ask you all, which one of you this morning can go and move the cloud? Can you move the cloud? But then you want to see the sky? If you want to see the sky, just take a plane and go past the cloud. And the plane will go higher than the cloud, and then you will see the beautiful blue sky. But then, if you cannot afford a plane, or it is not necessary at this time to take a flight and go above the clouds, what do? Just wait. Just wait, and the rain in the cloud will fall. And when the rain in the cloud falls, the cloud becomes clear again. And the wind will then blow the clouds away very gradually and very slowly, but they are going away. And friends, again, just with a little bit of patience, the clouds will go and the beautiful sky will be seen. Therefore, whatever is happening in our lives individually, whether it is happiness, whether it's excitement, whether it's joy, whether it's sadness or sorrow, just have patience. And with that patience, without giving up, is a natural process. You don't have to pray, you don't have to do nothing, the clouds will go. The clouds will change its position. And in the same way, life also changes its position. That's why in the beautiful bhajan it says, Suraj na badala, Suraj na badala, Chand na badala, na badala re aasaman. कितना बदल गया इंसान, कितना बदल गया इंसान. The sun don't change, the moon don't change, and the sky don't change. It is the clouds that are changing that makes the sky different. Friends, our soul don't change, our life don't change. It is our mind that is making the difference. And therefore, if we as youngsters and if we as youths are able to somehow get a grasp at understanding what the mind is doing, then life becomes a very, very beautiful thing. Like there was one guy, he was jobless under the present government. After Robina. So he was jobless, he lost his job. So what he wanted to do was to get a job. So what he did was, he went and he applied in different places. And then one guy called him and said, hey, what do you do best? He said, I'm a woodcutter. Oh, so that's what you do? He said, yes. Would you like to have a job in my sawmilling company? He said, of course, I would like to have a job. Can I ask you something? The boss asked, how many trees per day can you cut? He said, boss, I'm a real good woodcutter. I can cut down probably about 15 to 20 trees per day. So the guy now so excited about his new job, he went and the boss showed him the field that he can go and cut the trees. And having entered the field, he started cutting, using the axe and cutting. And the first day, he was able to throw down 18 trees. So he went and told the boss, said, boss, 18 trees on the ground. The boss smiled. Said, wow, that's good. I've never had a worker like you before. On the second day, the man cut 15 trees. The boss said, wow, very good. I had a few like you before. On the third day, he cut down 13 trees. The boss said, okay. By the end of the fifth day of the working week, the man took down 8 trees. So the boss asked him, he said, you know, on the first day you were so inspired and motivated for this job, and I expected what you did on the first day. You cut down 18 trees. But by the end of the fifth day, only 8 trees on the ground. Can you explain why? Who can tell me why? Come on, boys. Huh? Tired? After 5 days of cutting trees, you get tired? What do you all think? Anybody? Duh. After 5 days of cutting trees, not only he got tired, he didn't get tired actually, he did not sharpen his axe. And how can you cut the same amount of trees with the same axe without sharpening it? And therefore, the point is, my dear friends, is that every tree that was cut, or every tree that fell, the woodcutter was supposed to take his file or his grinding machine or whatever it might be and regain the edge of the axe to have the same efficiency while in the process of cutting down the trees. Every tree he must resharpen his axe. Like that, every day you and I are woodcutters, my friends, not literally cutting down the trees, but we are cutting through situations of our lives that are standing tall before us. And if we do not sharpen the axe of our minds, and we allow the dullness that appears like in the sky, like when the cloud is there, with rain, heavy with rain, the water in it, my friends, then the mind will not be able to take down the situations as they unfold in our lives on a daily basis. And if we are unable to do this, my dear brothers and sisters, if we are unable to do this, the result of that will be, by the end of the work week, less production, less inspiration, and as Dylan said, exhausted. Like sometimes people ask me, they say, Baba, how do you go all the time around the clock? I myself trying to find the answer to that. But when we have to go, we have to get up and go. Like this week went here, from morning to night all week, reaching home 11 o'clock. And get up in the morning again and go again. And how do we do it? There must be some level of inspiration. There must be some motivating factor that we must take into consideration. And therefore, children, youngsters and youths, you know what is the motivating factor? What's the motivating factor, Dylan? Sister? What do you think, Dave? What motivates you? It may not be the same thing every day that motivates you, but I want to let you, the youths especially, know one thing. Attitude. Attitude is that which should motivate us. And when a person has the right attitude, everything is possible. When a person has the right attitude, everything is possible. And a person with the wrong attitude, when you look at their face, Om Namah Shivaya. When a person has the wrong attitude, their face tells you everything. And from the time you watch them, you can see that their mind is clouded with all sorts of thoughts, all kind of thoughts. I wouldn't say bad thoughts or good thoughts, but the mind is clouded with a whole lot of thoughts. And that is how the wrong attitude comes. Therefore, youngsters and youths and children, if you really want to become somebody like Uncle Leslie, if you really want to make yourself something like great people in life, if you really want to be able to achieve your goals in life, the right attitude is important. And the question is, who is in charge of your attitude? Mommy? Daddy? The Jai movement? Your guru? Who is in charge of your attitude? So why we had the wrong attitude? If we are in charge of it. Huh? My friends, especially for the youngsters this morning. And this is why it is said, Hari Sundar Nanda Mukunda, Hari Narayan Hari Om, Hari Sundar Nanda Mukunda, Hari Narayan Hari Om, Hari Keshava Hari Govinda, Hari Narayan Hari Om, Hari Keshava Hari Govinda, Hari Narayan Hari Om, Hari Sundar Nanda Mukunda, Hari Narayan Hari Om. वनमाली मुरली धारी गोवर्धन गिरिवर धारी नित नित कर माखन चोरी गोपी मनहारी नित नित कर माखन चोरी गोपी मनहारी हरि सुंदर नंद मुकुंदा हरि नारायण हरि ओम हरि नारायण हरि ओम हरि नारायण हरि ओम आओ रे कान्हा रे गोकुल के प्यारे आओ रे आछो रे आसुर चाओ रे हरि सुंदर नंद मुकुंदा हरि नारायण हरि ओम हरि सुंदर नंद मुकुंदा हरि नारायण हरि ओम नंद मुकुंदा हरि नारायण हरि ओम हरि सुंदर नंद नारायण हरि ओम हरि केशव हरि गोविंदा हरि नारायण हरि ओम हरि केशव हरि गोविंदा हरि नारायण हरि ओम वनमाली मुरलीधारी गोवर्धन गिरिवरधारी नित नित कर माखन चोरी गोपी मनहारी नित नित कर माखन चोरी गोपी मनहारी हरि सुंदर नंद मुकुंद नारायण हरि हरि सुंदर नंद मुकुंद नारायण हरि आओ रे गोकुल के प्यारे आओ रे कान्हा रे गोकुल के प्यारे नाचो रे रास रचाओ रे नाचो रे रास रचाओ रे हरि सुंदर नंद मुकुंद नारायण हरि हरि सुंदर नंद मुकुंद नारायण हरि सुंदर नंद मुकुंद हरि नारायण हरि So the right attitude is what makes a magnificent difference in achieving our goals in life. And children and youngsters and youth, remember one principle in life: attitude determines our altitude. Attitude determines our altitude. Our attitude determines how high we are going in life. The attitude of understanding, the attitude of appreciation, the attitude of not taking people for granted, the attitude of humility. All these plays a big factor in our lives. And therefore, anytime we as youngsters and youths, I call myself a youth too, feeling good. Anytime we as youngsters and youths lose sight of the right attitude and approach in life, friends, the result of that will be very devastating for us. Therefore, the right attitude in school, the right attitude in the home, the right attitude in the workplace, the right attitude as a devotee of God. Don't you think all these things are very important, friends? Remember, if you read the Bhagavad Gita and you study the Bhagavad Gita, coming from the Mahabharata all the way down to the 25th chapter of the Mahabharata, in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna had the totally wrong attitude. How many of you read the first chapter of the Gita? Anybody ever read it? Whole thing? Yes or no? Well, I'll tell you in a nutshell. In the first chapter, Arjuna was complaining, Arjuna was crying, Arjuna was finding all the faults with standing up for what is right. Totally wrong attitude. And then in the second chapter, he looked at Bhagavan Krishna and the Lord tells him, he says, Arjuna, from where have this impotence come into your heart and into your mind? Why have you become so impotent mentally and intellectually? Why have you become so impotent? Or kleibhyam means to be impotent. And from where have this come? And Arjuna was so taken up in his own whims and fancies, he was so taken up by his own emotions, he could not see the light. He could not see what was right. He could not see what was to be done. And in that confused state, remember the first chapter is named as, you all know the name of the first chapter? Arjuna Vishad Yogo Nama. That's the name of the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna Vishad means the yoga of frustration. Oh, the yoga of frustration. So then, if frustration is a yoga, then we are doing yoga all the time. Isn't it? How many of you practicing the yoga of frustration? The yoga of depression. Every time you see her, you're like, oh, people will say, proper worries. Move your hand from there. Isn't it? The yoga of depression, the yoga of frustration, the yoga of sorrow because of a breakup. Just put on some makeup. Everything going good, man. Anytime you have a little breakup, put on some makeup. Look more pretty. And let the guy grieve. And when you look pretty and you look beautiful, he will bounce his head on the wall and say, if I only know. Isn't it? Let him go through the yoga of frustration. You go through the yoga of inspiration. So, the attitude of Arjuna was totally compromised. And therefore when Bhagwan shouted at him, Bhagwan literally shouted at Arjuna in the words that he chose when he said, Klaibhyam masmagama partha naitattvai upapadyate kshudram hridaya daurbalyam tyakto tishta parantapa. O Arjuna, O Parantapa, O scorcher of the foes, one who is so powerful like you, why are you lying at the back of this chariot so negative? Get out of it, snap out of it. Bhagwan shouted. Like, you know when somebody is talking to someone all the time and that person just not listening, and sometimes you lift your voice and you shout and they kind of catch themselves? Sometimes a little bit of shouting is good. But we mustn't be angry when we shout. We must be constructive when we shout. Like sometimes the child running around and every time the child makes some mischief, don't do that. But you didn't become angry. You just shouted so the child becomes alert. The child gets shaken up. In the same way, Bhagwan said, Shudram hridaya daurbalyam. O Arjuna, come out of this impotent state that you have found yourself in. And Arjuna, my friends, finally he wake up a little bit. And when he woke up, then he said, Karpanya dosho pahata swabhavaha prachami tvam. You know, very sweet is that verse. In the Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, he says, Arjuna, with a very sweet voice, it's as if he's saying, Lord, I am begging you right now. I'm begging you right now for help. Karpanya dosho pahata swabhavaha prachami tvam dharma sammuda chetaha yat shreyasyam nishtitam brohitam me shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. Lord, I am begging you right now. Please help me. And there, having said that, Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam, Arjuna adopted the attitude of surrender. This is the greatest part. This is the greatest attitude we must have. The attitude of surrender. And when Arjuna surrendered to Bhagwan Krishna, when he said, Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam, the result of that was, he got what was most motivational and what was most inspiring to him, and that is the knowledge of the self. And from there Bhagwan Krishna started speaking to Arjuna, and we all know all the different chapters of the Gita and what the Lord, having said to him, gave him the knowledge that would inspire him. So friends, the attitude of surrender is very, very important. Children, youngsters, youths, what do you surrender to? Or who do you surrender to? Internet. You surrender to the internet, isn't it? We surrender to our jobs. Do you surrender to your job? I am at your service. I am here to work my work. Work, do anything you want to do. But I know when the day is finished, I am going to be the winner. I'm going to finish your work. But our attitude is, when we go to work, oh God, same thing again. And don't talk about the boss. Or don't talk about the manager. And the attitude of our laziness comes into play. And when that happens, we are unable to perform. We are unable to come out of the what you call the impotent stage. We are unable to perform at our workplace. And as a result of that, Om Namah Shivaya. My friends, whether it's in school, whether it's at the work, whether it's in devotion, Lord, I have come before you this morning. Please take me. I surrender to you. Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. I am at your mercy, Lord. Whatever is to happen today, you be the controller and the master. I was supposed to be in Trin City this morning for 8 o'clock and I forget. For a puja. So right now, people are waiting in Trin City, prepared since 8 o'clock this morning, and look where I am. But whose business is that? That is not my business. Because Bhagwan has me where I am supposed to be. After this is finished, we'll go up there and see what's going on there. If we get some licks, we run back down the road. And the guy already called me this morning and told me, he said, Baba, when you come, be careful, my parents are here. And they're real upset. Because the 4 old people will probably go on there about 7 o'clock this morning. And here am I in Barakpur. But we've got to take what we have to get. But remember, whatever we get, have the right attitude. So if I get too lucky when I go up there, I am supposed to have the right attitude because I am wrong. Why would I give somebody 8 o'clock and forgot? So that's my problem. And now, to deal with that, I have to have the apologetic attitude. I am so sorry. And if I surrender, what happens? If I go there and I surrender and I say, you know what, I'm so sorry, as I did this morning already via text and I spoke to him on the phone, I'm really, really sorry. I forgot to write it in my diary. Bhagwan. So when you all know you have friends with me, text me the day before. So, I'm very sorry. And the guy, he said, Baba, no problem. We are okay. But the parents. So, my attitude from now, I practice in that when I'm doing is to go and say, Man, pa, real sorry. I am so sorry to keep you all waiting. And if that doesn't work, then they would have taken the part, or they would have taken the negative karma from my apology. And that is what happens in everybody's life. When we surrender, and when we apologize, if God forbid we do something wrong, and the person does not accept our apology, they receive the karma of our wrongdoing. Jai Bhagwan, so I want to pass on that. So you see how they get spared? In order to get spared from any wrong karma, have the right attitude. But it should not be an act. It should be genuine. Now I could pretend and say, you know, sorry, I'll do what I want. Who cares? Because why? I say, Baba? Yeah, right. My friends, even as a Baba or as a Guru or as anything, The right attitude is important. And therefore, children, remember, none of us are perfect. Every one of us at times will do things or say things that we do not mean or might happen by mistake. But whenever we do, we must realize that, hey, it is my fault. And when it is my fault, surrender. Surrender with the right attitude and leave the balance. If you give an apology to your husband and he doesn't accept it, he gets the power. Oh Lord. If you surrender to your wife with the right attitude and she doesn't accept your apology, she gets the power. So why do you want to give? Why do you want to take from others? Power. Take anything else, not power. Take anything else, but just we have to have the right attitude. And therefore, children, all the youths who are here, as you begin this year, 2017, with this movement, I am sure that the motive and the objective of this community gathering here at this beautiful home is to bring people together. That's the objective, to bring the community together, to bring the youths together, to look out for each other, not only spiritually, but look out for each other in a material sense. Like the boys would look out for the girls and protect them. I hope. Boys, these girls, these children are like your sisters. They are like your best friends. These children, these girls are like the Lakshmis in the community, and you, the boys, are to protect them. And this is one of the reasons I think that this group would have been established, so that the brothers will look out for the sisters. That the sisters will look out for the brothers, and the neighbors will look out for each other. With that attitude, will the community not remain together, Didi? With that attitude, will the community not be bounded or binded together with love, unconditional love? See, attitude again. Therefore, we have come here this morning to sharpen our axe, to go and take down a few trees later. We are here to sharpen the axe, and when you hear, you go into the forest of your mind, and you see some tall trees standing before you, and those trees feel as though you cannot pass. Just take out your axe of the right attitude and the axe of right thinking and see how those trees will fall. Anybody have any tall trees standing in their life right now and they do not know what to do? No? Mama? No? Oh yeah? None? Very good. Papa? Any tall trees standing? None? Just tell me none, I have a few in. What about this side? You'll have a tall tree standing blocking you from going ahead. It can be a physical tree. It can be an emotional tree. It can be a spiritual tree. It can be an intellectual tree that's standing in all the different aspects of your life. Take them down with the axe of the right attitude. And friends, all we need to do is a little bit pause, think about the situation, and nothing is going to get me down. Nothing is going to take me down. Don't be like Arjuna and say, you know what, I am fed up, I want to run away, I want to commit suicide and all those things. Children, suicide is not the answer to nothing. Suicide is the beginning of all problems for your soul. So don't feel because you have a tall tree of a situation standing before you, you must end your life. That's not the answer. All we need to do is change our attitude. And when we change our attitude, the result will be, friends, very positive. And if we find it is taking too long, look, how long the cloud's still there? It takes time. And therefore we need to wait. We need to wait a little bit. And when we wait, certainly we'll be able to conquer all situations. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Har Har Bole Namah शिवाय ॐ नमः शिवाय ॐ नमः शिवाय हर हर भोले नमः शिवाय रामेश्वराय शिव रामेश्वराय हर हर बोले नमः शिवाय रामेश्वराय शिव रामेश्वराय हर हर बोले नमः शिवाय हर हर बोले नमः शिवाय लिंगेश्वराय शिवलिंगेश्वराय हर हर बोले नमः शिवाय पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धु च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः